Hey, what's up? This is Jerell and Corey of Harvest Accounting Firm, and also you know us as the host of the Cannabis podcast. You're tapped in to Game Reveal, and today we talk about 280E. Let's go.
Welcome to the show, welcome to the show. Here to give you knowledge that you didn't know. Put you on some game, now you got a buzz. You are now listening to Cannabruhz.
So we're going to talk about IRC 280E common questions. Everybody wants to know, what is it? What does it mean? Why was it created? And how does it impact my cannabis business?
So what is 280E? So basically 280E is a part of the Internal Revenue Code that specifically targets Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 controlled substances.
Yep.
So as we go a little bit further, let's break down what a Schedule 1 is and a Schedule 2 drug. So the determination for a Schedule 1 drug is it's a drug or a substance or chemical that has a high potential for abuse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the drug, the substance, or chemical has no currently accepted medical use or treatment in the United States. And third, or there is a lack of accepted safety for use of the drug, substance, or chemical under medical supervision.
Right.
So a few examples of a Schedule 1 drug, that'd be like heroin,
Right.
LSD, and marijuana, the main drug on there that we're going to really be focusing on today. And we're going to go ahead and say cannabis at the federal level, right? So we all know that it's been legalized in about 33 states right now, whether it be recreationally or for medical use, but federally it's still illegal, right? So it's going to remain illegal as long as it's on that Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 determination. And then you also got ecstasy. All right, so then you get to the Schedule 2. So again, similar to the Schedule 1, the drug still has a high potential for abuse, right? But now it's generally accepted medically, but there are severe restrictions for that type of drug or substance, right? And the abuse of the drug may lead to some type of severe psychological dependence and can be considered dangerous. Now, I'm gonna give you a few examples of Schedule 2. So some of the big ones, so you have oxycodone, you have Percocet, morphine, opium, codeine, hydrocodone, you got meth, so methamphetamines, meth, and you got cocaine. So
and you I'm sorry to interrupt, but you also have fentanyl as well.
Yes.
Fentanyl, a lot of people have been fentanyl has been the bad guy in the recent years when it comes to deaths due to drug overdoses. Fentanyl has been used to be laced in a lot of like black market street drugs. And the problem with this is due to there not being any regulation, because a lot of medical professionals or medical students aren't able to actually research this. Now a lot of things are kind of it's easier for harmful things to get to the public.
Right.
It's pretty tough.
Right.
And
now,
it's a Schedule 2.
Now, already, if you look at these Schedule 2 drugs, when you look at cocaine, right, you would think cocaine, and this is no scientific reason behind it, but they're placing cannabis on a more dangerous, more restrictive level than cocaine.
Crazy.
Just Think of that, right?
IRC 280E, what does it mean for my cannabis business? IRC section 280E disallows your cannabis business deductions. So I'm going to read this little excerpt here. No deduction or credit shall be allowed for any amount paid or incurred during the taxable year in carrying on any trade or business if such trade or business or the activities which comprise such trade or business consists of trafficking in controlled substances within the meaning of Schedule 1 and 2 of the Controlled Substances Act, which is prohibited by federal law or the law of any state in which such trade or business is conducted.
So basically, what that's saying is it provides taxpayers who are engaged in businesses of trafficking certain controlled substances, similar to the Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 we were just talking about, but most notably marijuana or cannabis, right? From deducting business expenses associated with those activities. So that's just, in layman's terms,
anything involved is a no-go. So why was 280E created? Okay, so Congress sought to reverse a recent decision on a tax court decision, actually. This was in the 1981 landmark case of Edmondson versus Commissioner. So basically in that case, there was a drug trafficker that had been, trafficking some pretty serious Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 drugs, and wanted to deduct ordinary and necessary business expenses that related to that drug business. Okay. So they were trying to prevent businesses engaged in certain illegal activities from recovering those costs and those deductions. And that would be disallowing deductions that would otherwise be available under Section 162. We're talking about deductions like rent, well, in this instance, the scale. So things that are actually touching the flower, things that you actually use to transport and that actually directly touches the flower. In any other business, you would be looking to write this off.
Yep. And just so you understand what 162 is, so specifically 162A is just telling you that businesses can write off necessary and ordinary expenses in the trade of their business, right? So this is the tax code that allows businesses in general to write off their expenses.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how does 280E impact my cannabis business? So there's three facets to 280E, and whenever they're all put together, it triggers 280E, and that's when it starts to really impact your business. So the first facet is a controlled substance. So we already talked about Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 drugs earlier, right? So if it falls anywhere in one of those two categories, then that's the first step to triggering 280E. The next, you have to be trafficking. So what trafficking is buying and or selling illegal drugs, buying and or selling any of these controlled substances in Schedule 1 or Schedule 2, right? And then that's your business, right? So your business and or trade is to buy and or sell Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 drugs to other people. When all of those three combine, you have 280E. And then that's when 280E, like I said earlier, it triggers and it takes a huge portion of your money and it disallows a lot of deductions.
Yeah.
And so there's two cases that were historical when it comes to 280E in the cannabis movement in general, right? So the main case is Champs versus the Commissioner, right? Mm-hmm. And make sure you check out our Champs versus Commissioner game revealed, where we break down thoroughly how Champs overcame and beat the IRS in the long run, and how it sets the precedence for all cannabis cases and cannabis businesses going forward. Champs versus the commissioner. So CHAMP stands for Californians Helping Alleviate Medical Problems. So it shows that not only are they two separate businesses, but all the funds that are generated from the separate businesses are completely separate. They're not one is not dependent upon the other. The staff of one business is not working in the second business, or one person isn't bouncing back and forth, right? There's clear differentiation between the two, right? Mm-hmm. So they established that during the case, which allowed them to utilize their cost of goods sold, which allows them to deduct some of their income, or remove some of their income.
Yeah.
Then the next case is the olive versus the commissioner, which, if you watch our podcast, the Cannabruhz, you'll see that we cover olive versus the commissioner. So olive figured, hey, since Champ was able to beat the tax court, I can do it too. The difference is, instead of having the two separate businesses and two separate books, all of the income that was produced for Olive's business came from medical marijuana. Yeah. And because it came from medical marijuana and everything else, all the other services that provided, the business provided, had no charge, they're saying that it's all dependent upon the medical marijuana, because if there's no income into that business, then there's nothing that's funding the business to allow you to offer the other services. So they lumped it all together, and then 280E impacted the entire business, and therefore he lost out on a lot of money for several different years. There was penalties and interest accrued over the years because he chose not to appropriately run his operation. Yeah. Now, what we want to do now is show you how 280E impacts the numbers.
By the numbers.
So as you can see, we got two separate businesses, right? We have the non-cannabis business and we have the cannabis business. So if we look at the non-cannabis business, so we're gonna say the non-cannabis business is an ice cream shop, right? Because I just like ice cream. All right. So this ice cream shop is doing extremely well, and they made $1 million in gross revenue. Okay.
Yep.
So then, when you look at their cost of goods sold, it comes out to $650,000. So again, if you don't understand cost of goods sold, watch our game revealed. Our Champs game revealed, and we're going to go ahead and break down cost of goods sold in there.
Yeah.
So this is basically your money, where your expenses that you need to set up your business to get ready to operate, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like ice cream cones and stuff like that. Yep. So subtract the cost of goods sold from their gross revenue. So now their gross income is $350,000.
Okay. Now take a cannabis business. Cannabis is a great thing, right? And let's say you started a cannabis business that also made $1 million in gross revenue. All right. And then their cost of goods sold had equaled the same amount of $650,000. All right. So of course, same numbers in the cannabis business, and the gross income is the same, $350,000. Now, Corey before covered Champs, and we've covered Champs before. Also, be sure to check out the Champs game revealed. But because of Champs, the cannabis business is allowed those deductions of the cost of goods sold. So remember to kind of go back to that if that doesn't quite stick to you. but the cost of goods sold were allowed to be deducted.
Yep. Now, for my ice cream business, you know, I had to do a lot of marketing. I had to pay for insurance. I had to pay for gas. I had to pay for a lot of stuff for my ice cream business, right? And that came out to about $200,000, right? Well, since I'm just an ice cream business, I'm gonna go ahead and write that off on my taxes at $200,000. So now that leaves my taxable income at about $150,000.
Okay. Well, I also did a lot of marketing, came up with some really creative things for my cannabis business. The difference is I don't have those expenses deducted. So when they go to tax my income, my taxable income is still the full $350,000. Now we're starting to get into some problems.
Right. All right. So now once I subtracted my expenses, I'm at about $150,000. So I'm being taxed at 30%. So ultimately, I'm having to pay $45,000 overall from my 1 million.
Not too bad.
No, not bad at all.
Yeah. Now the difference is with my cannabis business being taxed on the full $350,000, I'm paying a whopping $105,000 in tax once it's all said and done, at an effective tax rate of 70%. Now that sucks.
Yeah, it definitely sucks. And that's the thing with 280E. When you look at these deductible business expenses, right? So that's just 200,000. I mean, imagine if his business expenses were of that million, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. That's down the drain. And so now he's having to pay significantly more money in his business than I would within my ice cream shop. And that's why 280E is so huge. That's why we call 280E your third business partner, right? Because if you don't have everything lined up appropriately, if you don't have, for instance, like for your cost of goods sold, if you don't have your books, your accounting done correctly, if you don't have your the formation of your business done correctly, if you're not able to show and properly delineate between what is what, then you they might disallow your cost of goods sold for your cannabis business. Right. So imagine having your cost of goods sold disallowed and your business expenses disallowed. That wipes out the $650. So now you're stuck paying. You're stuck being taxed 70% on $1 million. Man. And that's $700,000. $700,000.
I can't even say it. 700,000. 700,000.
And that's, again, I mean, 280E is. Don't think of how to get around 280E. Right, 280E is a part of your business. Now, fortunately, with the cost of goods sold, there's more ways you can capitalize, and again, we'll cover that in our game revealed. But that'll be our cost accounting game revealed. So make sure you check that one out as well. But there's many different ways within cost of goods sold to make it benefit you as much as possible. But like I said, you got to make sure that you have everything, all your I's dotted and T's crossed.
Yep. This is the point where really efficient accounting services, bookkeeping, record retention, and everything else comes into play. If you don't have the right accounting team that are actually using the proper chart of accounts and other things to set up to make sure that if not 100%, close to 100% of the items that would be used, or I'm sorry, the expenses that would be used for cost of goods sold are actually used. Make sure that those things are actually used as much as possible. Then you're going to cost yourself a lot of money. You know, you're going to cost yourself a lot of money. It's up to you to actually hire the right team, but it's up to that team to set your business up for success and to not leave a leaking hole in your boat.
Yep. Well, hope you got a lot of information from our game revealed. We really want to drive home that 280E is nothing to be played with. You really want to make sure that you're operating your business 100% legally, not 1 foot in the 1 foot legally, 1 foot illegally, and trying to, you know, navigate in between, because not only are you setting yourself up for jail time, but you're setting yourself up for failure monetarily, because you're going to paying all your money to Uncle Sam and the state.
Right. Who wants to earn $1 million just to take home 300,000?
Right.
Like, and don't forget, like, are you in this business on your own? Do you have business partners? Right. What leftover, what leftover factors are there to that 300,000? Right. And what kind of entity do you have? Right. Because, now at this point, it's not even a full 300,000, and that would really suck. So make sure you got all your stuff together. Like Corey mentioned before, 280E is not something that you can get around. I think of it like it's the Debo in your neighborhood. It's it's the Debo in your neighborhood. You can, try to be his friend and play games with them and hang out with them and just accept them being in your neighborhood, or you could try to fight it. And everybody isn't a hero. So make sure that you just have your ducks in a row. Make sure you have all your business taken care of and squared away. To be honest, this is not something that you want to be doing while you're trying to actually monitor the operations and the success of your business. You want to be working on your business and not within your business. And this right here will have you working too long, working too many hours within your business. To have a good accounting team, good cannabis accounting experts to take care of your accounting needs for your business. That's just how it goes, man. You want to make sure you can get everything that 162 has to offer.
Right. And a lot of our clients, I mean, they tell us, I mean, they just want to focus on the business side, right? They want to focus on the side that is sexy, actually dealing with the cannabis, actually either growing it or selling it. That's what they want to focus on. They pulled all their hair out trying to get their books done, according to, GAAP accounting. I mean, they've told us, like, they just want to focus on the business and make sure that whenever they are audited by the state, or whenever they are audited by Uncle Sam, that they don't have to worry about their business getting shut down.
Right.
And so, like Jerell said, in order to prevent that from happening, you want to make sure you have an amazing cannabis account.
Yeah.
Hashtag harvest. AF.
The AF stands for a fear you should respect. A fear you should respect. 280E. Hey. That's how it goes. Send us out, Corey.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time. Again, make sure you support the movement. Hashtag Harvest AF. Hashtag Cannabruhz. Hashtag From Seed to Success.
That's right.
And hashtag More Black Faces in Green Spaces.
All right.
And let's get that equity going. All right. Well, that's all we got for today. And we out.
Thanks. This has been Game Revealed.
Hey.
Welcome to the show, welcome to the show. Here to give you knowledge that you didn't know. Put you on some game, now you got a buzz. You are now listening to Cannabruhz.